Marcus Bennett sat at his small kitchen table, staring at a pile of overdue bills while his 7-year-old daughter slept on the couch beside him, wrapped in an old blanket that smelled faintly of lavender detergent. The power company had sent a final warning. Rent was late. His car barely started in the mornings. And the refrigerator held little more than milk, half a loaf of bread, and a jar of peanut butter. He rubbed his tired eyes and whispered to himself that somehow, tomorrow would be better. But tomorrow brought another problem. At 6:15 a.m., while driving to his mechanic job, Marcus saw a young man standing beside a broken-down car near the highway shoulder. The expensive suit gave him away instantly. This wasn't someone used to struggling. His polished shoes were already dirty from pacing on the gravel. Cars sped past without slowing down. Marcus almost kept driving. Almost. He looked at the clock. If he stopped, he'd be late again. One more late mark and his boss might fire him. Still, something in the young man's face made him hit the brakes. Before we continue, if you believe kindness, second chances, and helping others still matter in this world, please take a moment to like this video, comment where you're watching from, share this story with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories. Marcus stepped out into the cold morning air. The young man looked relieved, then embarrassed. The car wouldn't start. He had no idea what was wrong. His phone battery had died. He had an important interview downtown in less than an hour. Marcus popped the hood and took one glance before noticing the issue. A loose battery terminal. 30 seconds later, the engine roared to life. The young man stared in disbelief. Relief flooded his face so fast it almost looked painful. He reached into his wallet and pulled out cash. Marcus shook his head. He didn't need money. The man insisted. Marcus looked at him and gave a tired smile. "Pay me when you're the boss." The young man paused. Then he laughed. Not mockingly. More like someone surprised that hope could exist in human form. He thanked Marcus repeatedly before driving off. Marcus forgot about him by lunchtime. Life had no room for small memories. His days blurred together into survival. Work. Bills. Exhaustion. Parenting. Repeat. 3 months later, Marcus lost his job. The garage owner downsized and cut staff. Marcus was one of the first to go. He drove home in silence, gripping the steering wheel so tightly his knuckles turned white. How was he supposed to tell Lily? How do you explain to a child that love doesn't always pay rent? That night, he cooked noodles and smiled through dinner. Lily noticed anyway. Children always do. She asked if he was sad. Marcus swallowed hard and told her grown-ups just get tired sometimes. The following year became the hardest of his life. He worked wherever he could. Oil changes. Tire repair. Night shifts at a warehouse. Weekend furniture delivery. He slept 4 hours a night. Sometimes less. Every dollar had a destination before it arrived. Rent. Food. School supplies. Medicine. One winter, the heater broke. Marcus spent 3 nights pretending he wasn't cold so Lily could use every blanket. He watched his daughter sleeping and made a promise to himself. She would not grow up believing struggle was all life offered. She would know love. She would know safety. Even if it broke him. Years passed. Lily grew. Her missing front teeth turned into braces. Her stick figure drawings turned into award-winning school art. She remained the brightest thing in Marcus's life. Whenever he felt like giving up, he looked at her. And kept going. Then came the worst day. Marcus collapsed at work. Exhaustion. Severe dehydration. Stress. The doctor told him something he already knew. His body was breaking. He needed rest. Better food. Less stress. Marcus almost laughed. Rest? For who? Single parents don't get rest. They get responsibilities. The next morning, despite dizziness, he returned to work. Because survival doesn't wait for recovery. 5 years after the highway incident, life looked slightly better, but only slightly. Marcus had stable work at a small repair shop. Still poor. Still tired. Still fighting. That Thursday evening, he came home with grease on his hands and pain in his lower back. Lily, now 12, sat at the kitchen table doing homework. She smiled and handed him a crumpled paper. A school field trip form. Cost, $180. Marcus froze. He knew that expression well. The quiet hope in her eyes. The fear of asking. She said everyone in class was going. He wanted to say yes immediately. Instead, his chest tightened. $180 might as well have been $18,000. He told her he'd figure something out. That night he sat awake again. Bills spread across the table. Just like 5 years ago. Same table. Same fear. He hated this feeling. The helplessness. The shame. He wanted to give his daughter one normal childhood memory. Just one. The next morning, something strange happened. At exactly 8:03 a.m., a long black limousine rolled into his street. Marcus's neighborhood wasn't the kind of place limousines visited. Curtains moved. Neighbors peeked. Children stopped riding bicycles. The limo stopped directly outside Marcus's house. His heartbeat quickened. Did someone have the wrong address? The back door opened. A sharply dressed man stepped out. Expensive watch. Tailored suit. Confident posture. Marcus frowned. The man looked familiar. But older. Stronger. Refined. Then the man smiled. And Marcus remembered. The highway. The broken car. The battery terminal. The interview. 5 years vanished in a second. It was him. The young man from that morning. But no longer young in spirit. Now powerful. Accomplished. The man walked forward, eyes already emotional. Marcus stood frozen. The man reached him. Then said words Marcus never expected to hear. He had been searching for him. For years. Marcus stared. Searching? Why? The man introduced himself properly this time. Ethan Cole. 5 years ago, he had been heading to the most important interview of his life. If he missed it, everything would have collapsed. That interview led to a startup opportunity. That startup became a company. That company exploded. Now Ethan was the CEO of a multimillion-dollar tech firm. Marcus struggled to process the words. CEO. $1 million company. This was unreal. Ethan continued. He never forgot the mechanic who stopped when no one else did. Never forgot the words. Pay me when you're the boss. At first, it felt like a joke. Then it became motivation. Whenever things got hard, Ethan remembered that kindness. A stranger helped without expecting anything. It changed him. It taught him what leadership should mean. Success with humanity. Power with gratitude. He hired private investigators recently to find Marcus. Because he had unfinished business. Neighbors now openly watched. Lily stood in the doorway, confused. Ethan noticed her. He smiled warmly. Then turned back to Marcus. He said it was time to pay his debt. Marcus immediately shook his head. No. That wasn't necessary. Helping someone wasn't a transaction. Ethan's expression softened. He knew Marcus would say that. That's exactly why he deserved what came next. Ethan signaled toward the limo. A woman stepped out holding a folder. Legal documents. Official paperwork. Marcus felt his pulse rising. Ethan explained. First, Lily's education. Fully funded. Private school or college. Whatever path she chose. Covered. Marcus couldn't breathe. No. This was too much. Far too much. Ethan continued. Second, Marcus's house. Mortgage paid in full. Marcus felt his knees weaken. His house? Paid? Completely? His vision blurred. Tears formed before he could stop them. He tried to speak. Nothing came out. Ethan wasn't finished. Third. A position. Senior operations manager at Ethan's company fleet division. Excellent salary. Benefits. Healthcare. Retirement. Paid leave. Training included. Because Ethan had learned something important. Skills matter. Character matters more. Marcus finally broke. Years of pressure. Years of pain. Years of pretending to be strong. Everything collapsed. He cried. Not politely. Not quietly. He cried like a man carrying 5 years of storms. Lily ran to him and hugged him tightly. She had never seen her father cry like that. Marcus held her as if grounding himself in reality. This was real. This was happening. The man he helped for 30 seconds had returned with life-changing gratitude. Ethan's eyes grew wet too. He admitted something then. During his hardest business moments, he almost quit many times. But he remembered Marcus. A struggling mechanic who still stopped to help. If kindness could survive struggle, Ethan thought, then he had no excuse to become selfish. Marcus had unknowingly shaped the kind of leader Ethan became. That mattered more than money. At this point, if this story is touching your heart, please like the video, leave a comment, and share it with someone who needs a reminder that kindness is never wasted. Special request, comment below with one word, kindness, if you believe even small good deeds can change lives. The street had gone silent. Even the neighbors watching from windows were emotional. Marcus slowly looked at Lily. She was crying too. But smiling. Really smiling. The kind of smile he had spent years fighting for. That alone made every sacrifice worth it. Later that evening, after the crowd faded and paperwork was signed, Ethan stayed for dinner. Simple food. Pasta. Garlic bread. Nothing fancy. Yet Ethan said it was one of the best meals he'd had in years. Because gratitude changes flavor. Before leaving, Ethan looked around Marcus's modest kitchen. Same kind of table. Same kind of struggle he once witnessed in Marcus's eyes. He said something Marcus would remember forever. Success isn't measured by how high you climb. It's measured by how many people you lift while climbing. Marcus sat in silence long after the limo disappeared. The street returned to normal. But his life never would. That night, Lily asked a question. Why did you help him back then? Marcus looked at his daughter. Then smiled. Because someday, everyone needs someone to stop. That includes rich people. Poor people. Bosses. Mechanics. Everyone. He tucked Lily into bed. As he turned off the light, she whispered something that shattered him in the most beautiful way. She said she was proud to be his daughter. Marcus stepped into the hallway and cried again. But these tears were different. Not from pain. From release. From gratitude. From finally understanding something life had been trying to teach him. Kindness is never lost. Sometimes it disappears into silence. Sometimes years pass. Sometimes you think no one noticed. But kindness has roots. Invisible roots. And one day, often when you least expect it, those roots bloom. 5 years earlier, Marcus had fixed a battery terminal in 30 seconds. That tiny act changed 2 futures. One young man became a compassionate leader. One struggling father got his miracle. And one little girl learned the most important lesson of all. Good people still exist. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps keep these meaningful stories alive and allows more people to experience hope through storytelling. Remember this. You may never know which small act of kindness becomes someone's turning point. So help when you can. Be gentle when possible. And choose kindness, even when life is hard. Because sometimes, the good you send into the world comes back in ways bigger than you ever imagined.